third grade ELA text at Genre Study Fables. So, we're going to be reading The Contest Between the Sun and the Wind, retold by Heather Forrest, illustrated by Suzanne Gaber. The author retold the story from an Aesop's fable. Aesop is the name of a man believed to have told many fables. No one knows for sure if Aesop was an actual person. If he was a real person, he was a slave in Greece more than 2,000 years ago. His fables were passed down orally over the years, and now we read them. In this story, the sun and the wind argue over which one of them is stronger. To settle the fight, they have a contest to see who can get the man to take off his coat. Who do you think will win? There once was a man in a warm coat, walking his way down a winding road. The sun and the wind, high in the sky, watched the man as he walked by. The wind bragged to the sun, "I'm the strongest one. I'm much stronger than you." "Really," said the sun, "then I challenge you to a contest of strength. Let us see who can take the coat off of the man on the road." "Oh, that's too easy," howled the wind. "I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow to the brim. I'll rip his coat off of him. I'll smash him against the trees. I'll take his coat off with ease." So the main characters in the story are the sun and the wind, but they have human qualities, that they think, talk, and act like people. What sort of character is the wind? So, the wind blew harshly down the road, the wind clutching tightly to his coat. The wind grew loud, the wind grew cold. The shivering man buttoned up his coat. The birds clung to the trees. The world was dust and leaves. So I'm going to read that again. The world was dust and leaves. Those words really help me imagine how hard the wind is blowing. The illustration makes me feel like the wind is tossing everything around in the air. But the harder the wind blew down the road, the tighter the man held on to his coat. Discouraged, the wind blustered off with a gust and a swirl. Then the sun peeked out from behind a cloud, warming the air and frosty ground. The man on the road unbuttoned his coat. He lifted his voice and sang out loud. So why do you think the man unbuttoned his coat? What do you think will happen next? Let's see if you're right. The sun grew even brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter. The man began to feel so hot he took off his coat and sat down in a shady spot. The wind returned and said to the sun, "I huffed and I puffed and I blew to the brim, but I could not force the man's coat from him. I can't imagine that you were able to either." The wind stopped howling long enough to look down. There was the man sitting under a tree. Lo and behold, his coat was folded up like a pillow under his head. "How dare you force him to take off his coat?" the wind asked in amazement. The sun replied, "I did not force him at all. I lit the day. Through gentleness I won my way." "There must have been a trick," grumbled the wind. "It's not a trick," said the sun. "It's a choice and a skill. Would you like me to show you?" The sun just smiled. Author's note: The contrast between the sun and the wind is based on a fable attributed to a Greek slave named Asophope, who lived 2,500 years ago. Passed on through the oral tradition by generations of storytellers, this metaphorical plot raises a ponderous question. Can gentleness instead of force be an effective way to achieve a goal? So how do you think the wind feels at the end of the story? What did the author and illustrator do that make you think so? Look at him. Is he mad, upset, happy? What do the words and illustrations tell you about the sun?